One or two words on this campaign, which is now coming into the last 3 weeks. I think in many ways it's the most important campaign since 1960, mostly because of the problems which press upon the United States and the opportunities which will be presented to us in the 1960s, I believe must be seized. And the judgment of the President, the vigor of the executive, the cooperation of Congress, these, I think, can make the greatest possible difference.
He challenged the assembled students to work for the United States, and then he mentioned the fact that it was getting quite late and all should go to bed.
How many of you who are going to be doctors are willing to spend your days in Ghana, technicians or engineers? How many of you are willing to work in the Foreign Service and spend your lives traveling around the world? On your willingness to do that, not merely to serve 1 year or 2 years in the service, but on your willingness to contribute part of your life to this country, I think will depend the answer whether a free society can compete. I think it can, and I think Americans are willing to contribute, but the effort must be far greater than we've ever made in the past. And therefore I'm delighted to come to Michigan, this university, because unless we have those resources in this school, unless you comprehend the nature of what is being asked of you, this country can't possibly move through the next 10 years in a period of relative strength. So I come here tonight to go to bed, but I also come here tonight to ask you.
Okay, that's enough. Anyway, that's the birth of Peace Corps. It's pretty inauspicious, but it grew into a movement, and I have to say that on October 14th, just this past month, we assembled at the University of Michigan and had a reenactment, and we actually did it at 2 a.m., and we had 2,000 students who assembled. It was really a wonderful event. But today we're here to talk about Peace Corps and Rotary partnership. I'd like to know if there are any returned Peace Corps volunteers here in the audience. Any of you who have served in Peace Corps, stand up, please. Oh, bravo. Okay, let me add, is there anyone else here who has a family member who has served in Peace Corps? Anyone else? Anyone has a family member? There we go. Even more. That's wonderful. And then I'd like to ask if there's anyone here who's worked on Rotary International projects overseas where there has been a Peace Corps volunteer involved. Is there anyone who's done that? Stand up. Great. We'll see if we add all that up. There's a lot of people here that have some connection with Peace Corps. So Peace Corps and Rotary, I think, are very much aligned in terms of our commitment to service, our commitment to building capacity of host countries, our mode of working through our local, to build the capacity of local operations. You have your local Rotary chapters. We have volunteers who serve in your countries. It's a wonderful partnership that is very mutually beneficial. I learned this just yesterday that Rotary has 200 member countries, which is absolutely astounding. I don't know how many countries there are in the world, but I think you must have most of them. Peace Corps works in 77 countries, so I'm pretty sure that there is a Rotary Club in nearly every one of our Peace Corps countries. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that there are many hundreds of examples of Peace Corps volunteers working with your local Rotary clubs or even your international projects in the developing countries where we worked. We don't do a very good job of documenting that, and actually that was a topic of conversation at the meeting we had just before this. We're going to be working on that in the future, of trying to really be able to highlight some of those key partnerships, but I can promise you that it is happening every day. It's happening somewhere out there. I want to just say one thing to those of you who served as returned volunteers, and those of you who have children who are volunteers. It's a very special kind of relationship that volunteers develop with their communities. And I think it's also a very special relationship that Rotarians have with their communities, those of you who have traveled internationally to work on Rotary projects. It's more than just helping in their development. It's developing human relationships, really personal relationships with those countries, relationships that last a lifetime. I wanted to just tell you that although I've only been in this job for 4 months, I was sworn in the end of June, I have had the opportunity to do a little bit of travel. And about a month ago, I was in Sierra Leone and Liberia. And we used to have a very extensive program in both of those countries. And then it was a terrible civil war in both countries. I'm sure you've heard about it. It was very brutal. In Liberia, 1/12 of their population was lost, murdered, actually, during that conflict. So it was a bloody, terrible time. And now Peace Corps has just re-entered. And so I went back to see the first group in Sierra Leone and then visit the volunteers in Liberia who've been there a couple years longer. And Sue was a volunteer in Liberia, I mentioned earlier. Well, so when I went to those countries, I visited with the vice presidents of both of those countries, because now in my new job I get to meet with presidents and vice presidents. It's a little perk. But I was meeting with them, and literally both of them had tears in their eyes talking about my volunteer who taught me math in high school and helped me study for my national exam that enabled me then to go on to university in the United States. And my volunteer helped me study for the SAT and helped me fill out my college application. And when I went to university in the United States, and they both went to university here, my volunteer stayed in touch with me throughout my Peace Corps time. And in fact, my volunteer and I are still very close today. And it is an incredibly personal relationship. And not every single one of the people that we touch every year, and Peace Corps, I have to say we don't do a great job of documenting how many people we reach, but we reach millions of people, just like you reach millions. And each one of them has a special relationship with the people in their community. And I know that this is also true about Rotary, that the connections that are made between the Rotaries in your partner countries, and especially through the work that you do together at the community level, affects both of you for the rest of your lives. And that's a wonderful thing. And so I just wanted to highlight the similarity between the effects of our programs that is beyond the development impact. One little aside, in Liberia, there used to be so many volunteers in Liberia. It was one of our favorite posts because of the U.S. Special history with Liberia. It was the home for freed slaves. It was the first place where we repatriated African-American slaves. But it used to be a joke that the average Liberian family was a father, a mother, 4 children, and a Peace Corps volunteer. That's how many volunteers we had in Liberia, and one of them was Sue Fox. I want to just tell you briefly about our model so that you have an understanding of Peace Corps. Peace Corps is a 27-month commitment. You receive 3 months of training, language training, cross-cultural training, and technical training. We teach 250 different languages, and that's the beauty of Peace Corps, because we teach the languages that are in those little communities where people work. We have 3 goals that guide our work, and they're very consistent with your 4-way test. Our first goal is to help the people of interested countries to meet their need for trained men and women. So this is a capacity building development goal. Our second goal is to promote a better understanding of Americans on the part of people served. And then our third goal is to promote a better understanding of other peoples on the part of Americans. So this is a sort of citizen diplomacy, interpersonal relationship, those 2 goals. So those are our goals, and they're very, very consistent with Rotary. We work in 6 sectors: agriculture, education, health and HIV/AIDS, youth development, environment, what am I forgetting? How many did I say? Small business enterprise. And I was just chatting with your team about your vision plan, Rotary's new vision, the Rotary Foundation new vision plan, and you have focal areas, and there seems to be 100% alignment between your vision and our vision. So that's another point in terms of us moving together forward. There's no age limit to Peace Corps. There is an age limit. You have to be at least 18 to serve in Peace Corps. Most of our volunteers are at least college graduates. Our oldest volunteer is 86 years old, Muriel. She serves in Morocco. So it's not too late for any of you here. If you always wish you wanted to join Peace Corps, you still have time. Larry mentioned that I'm a 4th-generation Peace Corps family. My grandparents joined Peace Corps after they retired from General Motors and served in Malaysia. So it's not too late. I thought I'd just tell you briefly about my nephew, actually, who just completed his Peace Corps service in Mozambique. I visited him there